Hello, my name is Chelsea Chavez, and I'm here to tell you why more people should be organ donors. On average, there are 20 people each day that die waiting on the transplant list, waiting for an organ transplant. So exactly what does it mean to be an organ donor? Registering as an organ donor means that a person, when he or she dies, is evaluated for donor suitability based on their medical history and their age. The Organ Procedure Agency then determines if the medical suitability they are for donation. Now, the waitlist process is pretty stringent. You are determined if you can be a donor by a transplant hospital, or if you can be a donor recipient by a transplant hospital. Patients are then examined and determined to then be placed on the national waiting list. If you're a good transplant candidate, then that's where you'll go, the national waiting list. There's no way in telling how long you'll have to wait in order to receive a donation from another organ donor. If an organ then becomes available, then all patients are assessed in a whole pool and process to determine compatibility, whether that's blood, age, and any diseases or any type of immune diseases. Then it'll be determined by priority. The most common myths I hear when people think, why should I become an organ donor? I have a medical condition, so I can't be a donor. A lot of people think this, but many times once they're assessed by their blood, any diseases they may carry, and the type of suitability that they can then offer, then they're determined if they can be a donor. And most people turn out to be able to be organ donors. Some think that they're too old to be a donor. In actuality, there is no age requirement to be an organ donor, or there's no age that is too old to be an organ donor. Another common myth is if they see me and I'm a donor at a hospital, they won't try to save my life, which is also another misconception. The first priority is to save the life of a patient. Then, once declared dead, you will be assessed and determined if organ donation is the next priority. Another misconception I hear is rich or famous people are on the waiting list and they get prioritized for organs faster, which is also another myth. No matter who you are, the system that is generated by hospitals is not biased by race, celebrity, how much money you have, or who you are. It's all determined by a genetic system, not a genetic system, but by a system that is in place to make sure that everyone has a fair chance of receiving a donor, and that then is discovered, that is then placed by prioritizing who needs it the most. Another misconception is my family won't be able to have an open casket funeral if I'm a donor, which is also false. Doctors will ensure that you are physically able to have an open casket and that you physically look appealing to the eye. How hard or how can becoming a donor impact people? Now, in March 2020, by the organdonor.gov, determined that 112,000 people, men and women and children included, are on the national waiting list for an organ transplant. Every 10 minutes, another person is added to that same transplant list, which is why it is very important to register yourself as an organ donor. Another reason why it's important is because of shortages that continue to grow every year. Now, each year, the number of people waiting on the list continues to grow at a disproportionate rate than the people that are actually registering as donors. As you can see, the rate of people that are registering as donors is at a much slower rate than it is than the people that are going on the waiting list, waiting for transplants. Now, where can you register? You can sign up online on the organdonor.gov website, or you can sign up in person at a local motor vehicle department. They will tell you exactly how to register yourself as an organ organ donor transplant. As an organ donor, I mean, all you need to do is provide some type of identification and a driver's license. Now, a lot of you may have questions on becoming an organ donor. You can access any questions on the Health Resources and Administration organdonor.gov. There are a lot of questions that a lot of people have before registering as a donor, and this is a great website to reference all those questions. And the other official website for the U.S. government information, organ donor and transplant website, also shows a list of people that can register themselves for a transplant. These are great important resources in order to determine whether you are suitable for a transplant or whether you want to sign up as an organ donor. All of these reasons today why I've come to tell you that organ donation is at a risk, and which is why it's important to make sure that you sign up and register as an organ donor today. You could help those 20 people that die each day on average that are waiting on that waiting list. These are my citations. Thank you.